Hello, what's up everyone? This is Kia Keeley. Thank you for tuning into yet another AutoStratic training. In today's training, we're going to be covering more of the tool, specifically some of the pro features, as well as the compatibility with crypto and Forex, okay? And so we're going to be covering quite a bit today. It's definitely going to be fun. We're going to be exploring just a lot of the capabilities of the tool. We're going to be covering and better understanding the high probability setups that it points out for us, and also how to better understand just the strategy as well as analysis in terms of coming to that determination. What is a high probability setup? Okay. And then later we're going to be taking questions from users or just anyone inquiring, as well as interviewing members who've gotten wins so far. As of today, we are just a week. We are a week into the release of AutoStratic, and it's been an incredible week so far. Every single day, someone is posting wins that from AutoStratic, how it had helped them achieve such a win, and it's been such an explorative time as we understand the tool better and how it can work for us. Today, we're going to be covering a bit of AutoStratic Pro. Okay, and so AutoStratic Pro is the upgraded edition of AutoStratic, and it's really intended to turbocharge your trading edge. What it offers is a multiple of extra tools, faster processing, and really for that intermediate and advanced trader to take them to that next level. So it's the featured in AutoStratic Pro. It has faster processing. Okay, so a lot of the code has been cleaned up, so it loads better in real time. Uh, with it features Radar Pro, and AutoStratic Radar Pro is an enhanced version of the original AutoStratic Radar. The original AutoStratic Radar was capable of scanning 40 tickers, while AutoStratic Pro is capable of scanning over 200 tickers for AutoStratic setups. So those are the high probability winning setups that's scanning for. So it scans 5 times the amount of the original AutoStratic, the standard edition. Okay. What it also does is it has real-time outside candle scans. We'll get into what that exactly means for those who don't understand what that means. Real-time kicking pattern scans, again, we'll explain. Timeframe continuity plus, so an entire dashboard dedicated to displaying timeframe continuity as well as the strat system within the numbering of candles. And so those who are familiar with the strat, this is sort of just an enhanced version of that. There are many platforms that offer the time frame continuity as well as strat numbering system and candle type numbering. Many of them on TradingView. Lots of them are amazing because I used to use Strat Assistant. I used to use the Strat Teach 2, but I decided to design my own, one that works within the whole system of AutoStratic. And also the probability score, a ranking system to rank what the likelihood of a trade working out is going to be. That one is going to be the defining factor of the Pro Edition. Getting a score for how probable that the trade setup that is determined that is going to work out. And so, just to give a comparison chart, this is a comparison chart here. You can feel free to take a screenshot if you've been thinking about what is the difference between AutoStratic and AutoStratic Pro, as well as what we can work in here as you are making your decision towards, entering the AutoStratic ecosystem. For compatibility purposes, we have, both regular AutoStratic and AutoStratic Pro. They both work with all asset classes: stocks, options, crypto, Forex, and futures. We got a few questions about futures, but yes, it works with futures as well. We can demonstrate that if necessary. Both have AutoStratic trade ideas. Okay, that's along with the options contract generation, the auto-generated options contracts. Both of those have that, so no need to worry. Okay, if you have a standard edition right now. On the radar, as we compared, AutoStratic has 5 times the amount AutoStratic Pro has 5 times the amount of the standard edition. Okay. And then all of these extra tools down here below the radar are only included in AutoStratic Pro. So probability score, that is currently in development, and that will be coming soon. With that, we are going to hop right in. And so we're going to be covering quite a few tools one by one. All right. And then we're going to see how we are on time with regards to everything. And we're just going to try to very much further investigate what really is here in our pro tools and capabilities, and how we can make the maximum use of the AutoStratic tool. All right. So the first thing I will do is first introduce the outside candle scanner, or the outside bar scanner. Okay. So essentially, and maybe I can also pull up exactly what an outside candle is. So what is an outside candle? So this slide that we designed here for you, an outside candle, and we understand the 3 candle types. And let's actually just go through all the candle types, why don't we, in the strat, okay? So number 1 is an inside candle, okay? What an inside candle is when we have a new candle range, and we know that each price range, or each candle, whatever time frame you are, is representing the movement of the price within that amount of time. So we can pretend for now, let's say this is on the daily time frame, and each candle here is one single full day, okay? So an inside candle is when the range of a candle stays within the range of the previous one. It does not break the high or low of the previous candle. So in this case, right, we have this current day and has neither broken the high nor the low of the previous day. We think of this as consolidation. Okay, this is also explained in the AutoStratic. Instruction booklet. Okay. A directional candle, a breaker candle, is when we break one side of the previous candle. Okay, so again, if we're thinking of these as days, on this day, we broke the high of the previous day. Okay, and so this is the type of candle that we get. It's a breaker candle, or a candle with direction, and we're breaking one side of the previous range. What an outside candle is when we break both the high and the low of the previous candle. And we're going to be seeing a lot of these. And so great about today's trading day is that we had so many of these, and we knew when they were going to happen. Now let me explain. When we break both the high and the low of the previous day, or again, the previous candle, whatever time period we're looking at, we think of this candle logically as a reversal and broadening of a price range. So typically, it's when we go one direction, reverse, and then go all the way to the other side of the previous candle or day. All right? So we have one day, then on the next day, maybe we either hit the low, fell a little bit, then bounced all the way up to the high. Or, like today's trading session, when we hit the high of a previous candle, we went up, then reversed back all the way down and dumped. Okay? This candle is outside of the previous range. So, what does AutoStratic Pro present to us with the outside candle radar? Imagine if after breaking one side of this range, that we knew with high probability that we could get an early entry, let's say if something breaks the low of a previous candle and then bounces, what if we had a high probability setup to get an entry with full understanding and expectation that we're going to go to the other side of the range? This setup typically coins the SSS 50% setup, coined by the trader Sarah Strat Sniper, who also trades the strat. This is one of the highest probability setups that we can have and we can take advantage of to get very reliable price targets and to stay in trades longer without getting shaken out. Okay. And so let's bring it up. So in order to add it to our chart, as always, we go to indicators, we go to invite only scripts, and we would click on the outside candle radar. I happen to already have it up, so let me bring it to the center of the screen right now. And again, you can always move these tools to the center or anywhere on the screen and change the size, because I just made it bigger for better readability. We're going to zoom in here. So what the outside bar scanner does is it shows us in real time which tickers are prepping for either a potential bounce with high probability and those with a potential rejection back down with high probability. Okay? And I can actually change the language because what it says here is failed 2 down and failed 2 up. And we can discuss exactly what that means, but maybe another time. But let's make it into simple language. Let's turn it into simple language instead of advanced language. I'm going to turn this toggle on. What's that going to do for us? It's going to tell us the things that bounced or rejected. So essentially, what involves an outside candle setup here, if I take a box from the high to the low of this candle, you see there's a bit of a dotted line in the middle there. That dotted line is the halfway point there. So according to the outside candle setup, the SSS 50% setup, if we are to take the high and break the high of a previous candle and then reverse, if we get past the 50% level, the halfway point of this this candle right here, this one that my mouse is over, if on the current day we get past there, there's high probability that we are going to hit the low. We're going to go over probably quite a few setups here just to further understand those who may not understand yet. Okay? But that is as simple as it can be. That we hit the high of a previous day, came back down to the halfway point of the previous day. That means we can take an entry, at least on this ticker, we may be able to take an entry for puts down to the low of the previous day. All right. So let's go and see what even showed on this radar. So on this radar, look at what's happening here. So the things that say bounce is what's prepping us for a possible early entry or like a prospect. If this is a prospect and we want to draft some type of high probability ticker, they start as prospects here on either the bounce or rejection side. Okay? If they're a full-on prospect and they get past the halfway point, they're going to end up on the active up level. If they bounce, then go back up, they would be active for the outside setup to the upside. Okay, everyone following? But if we see a prospect for rejection, where we go up, then down. If we get past that halfway point, these are the ones that have the setup active to the downside. And now, what do we even see here? Look how many tickers in today's trading session were on the active down setup. What can this even tell us? That likely majority of the market, especially tech, got hurt today and dropped. Let's look at SPY really quickly. So on SPY, let me show exactly what this looks like. Okay, so what these lines at the top here are showing us, they're showing us that if our trading session for today, our new session for the trading day started here, where I'm about to draw this box. In this representation, the range of the previous day is here. That I'm going to represent by this, maybe like some orange thing here. So in today's trading session, on SPY, we first hit the high of previous day, right? SPY today hit the high of the previous day because we hit the first upside. And let me do this in real time. That may be better. When the market opened, we hit the high of the previous day. Okay? After hitting the high, that's step one of what's required for this setup. We came down here, and then we hit the daily 50% level. Remember, the halfway point of the previous day. That now SPY has fulfilled two pieces of the pie for our setup that's high probability. So from these three candles, and we're on the 15-minute time frame. So only after 30 minutes into market open, we already knew with high probability that we can fall to the bottom, the low of the previous day. Okay, everyone's following? Because what has to happen is we hit one side of the previous day, get to the halfway point, and then from there, we can make an assumption that we can likely get to this low if we cross back below this halfway point, that red line that you see. So understand this power, that in this trading day, within only 30 minutes, you can already determine that a stock can drop over 2% or so. In this case, with SPY, we could drop $3 from here. Understand? So from there, the moment that later in the day that we cross back below the daily 50% level, that would be our entry. Where are we going, right? Down. And below that, we can find an entry for puts. Okay? When we cross fully below. So we bounced off of the daily level, 50%, because it's typically a support. And so when the market dropped pretty hard earlier today, right? And we dropped like a rock right here. This point was the entry for puts. Okay. And so from there, again, we had full understanding high probability that we were likely going to go for this low where this first arrow is. It got a little shaky because Powell was trying to really clap people. But look, boom. We hit the low and we went even further to this recent low back here. Makes sense, everyone? I know maybe not for every single experience of level of trader that it's just going to click like this. But I'm telling you it works. And it's highly probable, because let's say if you watch my Twitch stream from the beginning of the day, from the very beginning of the day, what did I say? We were going to drop to 433. Or at least 435, where this low was. How can I make such a prediction like that? I just explained it to you. Okay? Initially, we had caught puts for 50%. Then eventually, these SPY puts went up over 220%. And they might fall even further into tomorrow. So why did I explain all of this? Well, because what AutoStratic offers with this scanner is to be able to do that in real time. And it is the only, again, as with what it exists as options trade idea generator and trade idea generator, it is the only known one right now within its capability to do this in real time, and especially on TradingView. There are many outside candles, or I don't want to say many, but there are a few that are built on their own website or built in Excel sheet, and it only updates at close. This updates during the trading day, so you can literally take trades as they're happening. And today, many of our users got entries on Shop, on Zillow, on SPY, Apple, Google, AMD to the downside. And we're able to predict that in real time as they're happening. So, some other tickers, right? We had Apple. Let's just see what it looked like for Apple. Same thing, right? We started trading day somewhere, which was back here. Let me just highlight where the previous day was. Okay. If we take the high of a previous candle, that's step one. That's what we did here. If we get to the 50% level, that's step two. Now we have a setup. So as soon as these things happen on the outside bar scanner, unfortunately I can't show what the scanner would show in real time, but just use your imagination here. But in this case, from up there until there, you would get a scan of the rejection this early, before the 50% level is even hit. You get a scan about the rejection side. So in this case, Apple appeared here in this column where we see JPM. It appeared there. So that's giving you a heads up. So you get an even earlier than the 50% level. And then when it hits it, that's when we get Apple jumps from the rejection level or column into the active down column. And so then essentially we're getting more confirmation that this is a setup. So from there, then again, we can, with high probability, make the assumption we can go to the low of the previous day. And this only happened 1 hour into the market open. 1 hour into the market open, you can already anticipate a $3 drop. It's not guaranteed, but oh damn, is this high probability. And you can, the proof is literally here on the right side of the screen about how many tickers on this dumped and how in real time it's telling you that it's going to dump. You know what price level it's going to get to. What does bounce mean again? Someone just asked, Willie Beeman. Let's go to PG. What did that mean? So we're able to see the range of the previous day here for PG, okay, where that highlighted area is there. What did PG do in the beginning of the day? First, it hit the low of the previous day. Let me redraw that. It hit the low. And then what did it do? It bounced. So at a certain point, around here, where I'm going to highlight, around here, the radar is telling us that it bounced and that this is a prospect that we might want to draft for a long position or calls. Okay? This is a prospect, and maybe we can get an early entry. So that's what happens, why it registers as bounce. Because we take a previous, because we're on the daily candle or, the daily time frame. You can use this with any time frame. The day, the week, the month. When we're on the daily time frame, it's reading about price action of each day. Since we took the previous day and then we bounced, that's a prospect. And so then if we're going. PG almost got past the daily 50% in this case, right? What type of, without looking at the daily candle here, without looking at the daily candle on PG, which is on this side, what type of candle do you think formed as a result of this price action? Because right now we're on the 5-minute, but what type of candle do you think formed here? Some people let me know. As in, the shape. Yep, it formed probably a hammer, right? Because we started at one point, we fell, and then we actually reversed. So if I go to the daily chart, it's close enough to a hammer, not exactly it. But we had a big wick on the bottom candle, didn't we? Because of that bounce. So this might, PG might try to make some move back to the upside, but it wasn't able to conclude that setup within the same trading day. So either it finishes its job on the next trading day, or, it just wasn't in the cards for there. If you watch my stream, and sometimes if you've been scrolling through the Wealth Squad where I post my trades, I've mentioned outside candles and outside days, outside weeks all the time. Why would I do that? Because I'm so very focused on the high probability setups that are going to keep me staying in the trade. Maybe let's see if there's any one other example here. Just want to see. Okay, Google. So one last thing about, just to give people clarity one more time, right? About why this is important. We're going to clearly mark where the beginning and end of the previous day was. Very early in the day, we took the high of the previous day, came to the halfway point. Again, boom. Those are the two requirements. We already know what can happen. We can get to the low of this previous day, the bottom of this orange box. So imagine we take puts right here, right? Imagine we take puts and we have a decent expiration on it, at least a week out or so, just to give us some safety, right? If we have some level of expectation that we can get back down here from an entry right there, we have an understanding of this high probability. What we need to use is either our conviction and understanding how time is an asset on our side, and we can also use time frame continuity at the bottom, which is how many candles are the same color, how many candles are green, how many candles are red. The more that are green, the bigger momentum. The more that are to bullish, the more that are red, the more that's bearish. And how many of these are breaking in the same direction as well. So we can watch this to see, at least at this point of where the entry was, it's kind of half and half, right? It's mostly red on the day, but mostly green from the week to the month and quarter. So in this case, if we entered here, what can help us hold to understand that's coming back down? Because look, it ran against us if we did enter there. But still here, we're still fulfilling the same setup, even if we didn't close down here. But it can keep us in the trade with understanding the parameters that have already been fulfilled. And this can help you prevent getting shaken out. Knowing this setup, as well as keeping this radar for the outside bar handy. Make sense, everyone? Starting to click some ideas if you didn't know what this was before. Next, what we're going to go over is the kicking pattern radar. So we went over what a kicking pattern was yesterday. Okay. And typically a kicking pattern is when we either have a really bearish candle followed by a gap up above the previous candle, or a really bullish candle followed by a gap down below the previous candle. What the kicking pattern radar, again, one of a kind, because in real time, it gives you a list of all of the tickers that have this setup. To add some clarity, this is not an end of day scanner. So both of what we showed here, okay, the outside candle, and I can always add some more just copy. I can add, create more copy, create more pamphlets, more and more, just to give more clarification of when to use some of these. So the outside bar on the daily, this is for intraday trading setups. So typically day trading when it's on the daily time frame for the outside bar one. But you can still use this at least as a reference to see what tickers fulfill the setup or not, right? When you pull it up on the weekly, I will get into the weekly, and you will, lo and behold, you will love what I have to say there. On the weekly, this can absolutely help us with swinging and for multiple day type of setups throughout the entire week. One thing you may notice off the bat right now, as you see what's on the screen, is that we have one certain ticker that is on both of these scanners. If you were in the server last week, I mentioned a specific setup that happens when you have both, when you have something on both the daily kicking pattern and the weekly outside bar. Okay. But to further clarify once again, so the kicking pattern, this updates in real time, but it's usable in the morning. Not just the morning, but it's usable when the market opens. Okay. So we cannot scan in advance for kicking pattern scanners or, picking pattern tickers. We can't do it. Let me switch to Baba right now. But we can't scan it. It's impossible because it's only when we have, and so I'll show Baba and why it showed it here. Let me just, before we get into today's example, we had a kicking pattern this other day on Baba, right? And you see, look, the kicking pattern just updated to reflect the, back in time the previous day. So you see we had a very obviously red candle followed by a gap up. That is one of the strongest reversal tools and the strongest high momentum setups. But we can only be able to register it. So at market open, typically things are blank. And then immediately within about 15 seconds, it will update with what tickers have the setup. Because it will tell us which ones are having the setup, the ones that gapped up. We can't tell the ones that gapped up or gapped down until they open. Okay? That's just how the market works. That's how TradingView works, We can go to a chart and look at pre-market numbers and see if they are about to open above or below, like when we do with earnings, right? But currently there's no tool that fully can do it prior to the market opening. But what is useful is that, especially when we are talking about tools like the range rush reversal, and personally how I like to trade, I tend to like to wait until at least 15 or 30 minutes after the market is opened until I take a trade. Most of the time. That's what is my preferred thing. It helps me be patient and I don't rush into trades and end up getting hit with some type of fake out. How many here can raise their hand and say they got hit by a fake out by jumping into a trade pretty early when the market opened? Say here if that has happened to you, right? And so it's happened to just about all of us. So why I use the range rush reversal in that 30 minutes is to give me time to prepare myself for the eventual setup that's likely to come. There are going to be days, right, that things just fly on up, and we have tools to help us identify those high movers, namely this kicking pattern radar, right? And so what the kicking pattern radar can do, at least for me, is help me quickly jump to the tickers that have super high momentum, either to the upside or to the downside. Just quickly jump to it right away. And so I use that first 5 or 10 minutes of the market to read which ones are on this thing. The 5 to 10 minutes. And then again, after the 30 minutes, I've kind of starting to prepare my mindset of all the things that kind of may have happened and where my attention should be. And that's an ample amount of time to make some determinations, especially if some of these tickers that pop up on the radar for the kicking pattern have already popped up on the regular AutoStratic radar with the setup. That makes sense? At first, it may feel like it's you have to act quickly and you wish that you had a bit more preparation before market even opened. But this is as best as it can get for now. Hopefully in the future, TradingView offers some means of being able to read for those pre-market gappers and to determine if it's a kicking pattern. But for now, we still have a very strong tool to tell us where the setup is. Make sense? So I use a lot of that early morning time when market open is to prepare. I don't use it to just say, hey, I'm about to jump in this. I use it to prepare and assess what is the most high probability. Now, and it doesn't even have to be that. It doesn't, what I just said, where I said, what's the most thing? It doesn't have to be the best trade ever. You don't have to have the best trade of the day and feel bad that you hopped into something and you made a little profit, but if something else just went crazy. Are we going to sit here and have regrets? No. Why should we? We have this tool in front of us that automatically generates trades and is giving us winning high probability setups every single day. Multiple times a day. You just wait for the next trade. So we shouldn't be thinking about missing trades. Okay? But we should be about preparing ourselves and creating opportunities for when the high probability setups come, we are already able to identify them super quickly within just a few minutes. Make sense, everyone? So on here, we had a kicking bull. No trade setup detected. If we are an advanced trader, we know why Baba is rejecting, because we have a bit of a fair value gap that we rejected off of there. We started heading down, and then, oh, lo and behold, on Wednesday, yesterday, at market close, AutoStratic refreshed and generated a trade idea on Baba on the daily time frame. We had an entry for puts potential here if we cross below this level. If we cross below this level, we would likely be looking at $84 puts for next week, November 17th. And we would be looking to try to reach this target down here at $84 to take some profit. What AutoStratic isn't pointing out to us, but I can use some of my brain, is that we actually had quite a few open gaps here. And the one thing that we know about gaps is that they like to get filled. And so, what do you think happened going in today? AutoStratic triggered the entry. $84 puts were taken. We hit the target. We filled this gap back here. And we filled this other gap that's all the way back here as well. Not only did we have an AutoStratic setup that was triggered, we also had Baba appear on the kicking pattern bearish setup. So we have several confluence signals that are telling us that this is going to fall. We already had a setup that was giving us an idea of when to take an entry. And then from the way that Baba opened, because it gapped below this green candle, that just gave it the highest momentum of setup that you can get. And so from the trigger, from triggering the entry on Baba, that's when we take, an options trade for puts. We even have the orb, the range rush reversal here to confirm. So we have 2 points where we enter puts. 1, 2. And we're being confirmed about the direction and the momentum of the stock by that, all the way to the downside. Everyone's able to see that. If I add one more thing here, and now we're gonna cover maybe 2 more examples. If we add one more thing, so I'm going to put what the weekly range of Baba is. And only the weekly. Let me take off the daily here. I don't care about the day right now. Okay, get rid of the day. So now all we care about is the previous week's range. So the range of the previous week here on Baba is represented by this one purple line on top, the middle one, which is the halfway point, and the bottom one, which is the low of last week. Let's represent this with an orange box again, that this is the range of the previous week. We started the week right here. Let me get rid of this red thing for a moment. Let me go to bigger time frame. You're about to see everything happen and how much your mind can be blown. So, we started this previous week. Or excuse me, we started this week on Monday, November 6th, and this was the range of the previous week. As soon as we started on Monday, what did we do? Someone put it in chat. What happened on Monday that's important to us? I'm gonna need somebody to answer, because it makes sure y'all paying attention. Number one, yeah, we did gap up, but right now, sort of what I'm sort of pointing out, we broke the high of the previous week, right? We broke the high of the previous week. We hit the high of this orange box when we started this new week on Monday. We did hit ADR, that is true. And we actually got past that lower ADR pretty early. But right now, the important thing that we're pointing out right here is that we broke the high of previous week, right? Number one. Let's see as we go on in the week. Okay, at this point, when we start Tuesday, I broke the week into two halves, the upper half and lower half. Let's actually break the week into 4 parts. So now we have 4 sections. Everyone's able to see the section? I'm going to actually number these sections. Of the previous week. So when we break into section 2, on the kicking radar, or excuse me, on the outside candle radar, on the week, this is registering as a rejection, right? Because we broke the high of the previous week, and then we went from the upper range into the lower one. So at this point, we can clarify this and label this a rejection because we rejected the high of the previous week. As we go along, you know, we still understand this as a rejection of the previous week's high. We're holding there, holding there. Now, we're falling below section 2 of the previous week. Let me take off this range rush reversal. Okay. And now this is Thursday. As we go down, what are we clarified as now? At this point where the red candles are over here, where are we clarified as right now on the week? Because this was a rejection, we became a prospect. This right now, we're below the 50%, right? And we're getting active. You ever heard that term or phrase? We about to get active. We are active to the downside. And so now that we're active, what can we assume? With high probability, what is going to happen later this week on Baba? We can potentially go to the low of this previous week. Look how far from this level that the price is at right here. Look how far that level is in price to the low of this week, of the past week. A $3 to $4 drop. And we can make that assumption easily. And you know what is helping us with making that assumption? That kicking pattern radar. That is telling us that Baba is massively momentum bearish. Okay? So when you have a kicking pattern on the day that we saw, that like we did here on Baba, and you combine that with the possibility of an outside week, what we call that is a kicking pattern outside week, or a kpal. So write that down right now if you're taking notes. We call this a kpal. The kpal is one of the highest probability setups. You might as well call it guaranteed, even though it's not. But there is about a high 80 to 90% success rate when you see in our approach with this scenario. Okay. And this, for now, and let me bring up the outside radar one more time and why it's important to have the week on here. I'm about to move this to the bottom right. I've been moving these all over just to make sure the chart's not all too confusing. But why it's important we have this outside bar is because with knowledge that the outside bar scanner is telling us BABA has a potential, especially because it's Thursday and Friday, we can potentially assume that tomorrow on Friday, we might be looking for BABA to come all the way down to 80. So either you entered BABA today and had the expectation we might fall to 80 by Friday or next week, or you're going to wake up tomorrow morning, get ready for the market day, and be ready to buy BABA puts for that possibility that it might go down to the $80 before the end of the week. I'm not telling y'all to do that, but I'm just saying we see a high probability for the possibility of that happening. Okay, so what I do when I use the outside radar scanner, if I keep it on the weekly time frame, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, this becomes your focus, at least my focus. I look for the things that are trying to approach and do an outside candle week. Why? Why would I do that? Because it's something that can keep me in the trade. There's such a high dollar move that can get me multiple hundreds of %, and that I already have a place where I know where I'm looking to take profit, which is the low of that previous candle. Giving me an entry point, which was either the prospect level where the rejection happened, or as we got past that 50% level. Understand? So we get the entry, we know the exit, and we have a whole overview telling us which tickers are about to do that and give us several 100% because of a big dollar move. Does that make sense, everyone? I did my best to explain as simple as I can. And I know I always try to cater to the newest of traders as well. And if you're here, I know there's some of this stuff is like, wow, right? And if you aren't here, we're going to get you there. We're literally training you in an accelerator program. That's what this is. To give you the tools to empower you with more confidence and to try to understand better what makes a winning trade. And we're doing this for, of course, if you use AutoStratic, but we just did this session, we did this training for free to the public. Understand? I just want to show one other example of when this happened. I'm going to turn AutoStratic off just for a moment, just to make it clear. In this week, last week, on November 1st, AI did what? Because we started the week right here. Where this green line is, that's where we started the week. And then this over here, again, the orange box, this is the previous week's range. So everyone, when AI on Wednesday, what did it do right there? We hit the low of the previous week. Well, that at least gives us, number one, a requirement, right? Eventually, it may become a prospect. And so, yes, this question, though, let me answer this question. This is going to clarify things as well. Does the rejection or bounce populate into the table as soon as it rejects and bounces from that level? Yes. But I think part of what you're asking as well is if within like those 4 panels, it's like if we hit this low of the week, right? As we go up, if we were to bounce, as soon as we hit the 25% thing there, that's registering as a confirmed bounce. Make sense? Because it needs enough of a move to register a bounce. Because if we just hit that level, that's not, and it just bounces a little bit, that's not very useful to us, because it could be just a real small bounce until we dump further, right? But we need to bounce at least a measured amount to get a full understanding that we're in the bounce range, right? Or a failed 2 down, as us stratters like to call it. So number one, take the low of the previous week. Step 2 is either we bounce and get into one of these areas on the table, or we get past that 50% where we can get an entry for calls. The last step would be the expectation we can get to the other side. In this trading week, on the following trading day on Thursday, and like I was telling y'all, when on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that these become extra important is because in this case, unfortunately, I don't think the outside radar is going to register because we're in replay mode. But essentially, we had the kicking bull here. And not only do we have a kicking bull, we got past that halfway point. As soon as we got past that halfway point, we had that understanding, this high probability. It's not guaranteed, but high probability we get to the other side. But because we also had a kicking bull, and may I add full time frame continuity, full on bullishness, that this is a kpal. Because AI appeared on the bullish kicking pattern radar, and I can't show it on the screen now, but it also appeared on the weekly outside candle radar. And from here, as soon as AI opened on this day, and we saw a close and cross above that weekly and VWAP, some people may ask, does it matter that it gapped over it, that it didn't cross it? No. The principle still applies about what the price action is looking to do to get to that other side. This is all the algorithm at work. And through these tools, we understand this algorithm that tries to manipulate us, but we can better act on it. Because when we know what side of the candle that we're trying to go and how far the stock can go with high probability. I will try to upload this video tonight. There might be some editing I might have to add in just to maybe make things clear or whatnot. But I will absolutely try to get this as soon as possible. Make sense? I would walk through some more setups. But I just understand we have cleared over an hour. But this was certainly covering the power of, all of the tools that are afforded in the Pro Edition. I didn't cover time frame continuity all the way, but we saw how it worked in tandem with these examples that we walked through, right? What I do want to say, we had quite some big wins today though on Tesla. We had a member in the chat get 400 and 700% on Tesla puts because of AutoStratic. We had another member get quite a big win on Zillow because of AutoStratic. Because from triggering the entry, it fell all the way down and hit both of these targets after generating a trade idea on the daily. Look at this beauty. Just look at it. Look at that beauty. From entry all the way to hitting both targets and down below. And as we had said, I believe yesterday, what happens if the entries are too close or the targets are too close to the entry? This is where maybe you might want to find trades where the target is maybe a bit far away and it's much bigger. Because if we have much bigger target and magnitude about how far the trade can actually go, the more percentage that you can rake in and double, triple, quadruple, 10 times your profits potentially. And yeah, as Marie just pointed out here, we literally talked about Z last night that I thought it was going to go up even further because it generated a trade idea the previous day as an entry for calls. That trade worked out, but I wasn't in on the trade when it happened until it was late. So when Z turned around, it then generated a different trade to replace that call that had already worked and hit the target. So it generated a call to hit the target, could have played that, generated a put, boom. And we just covered, we had just covered Z yesterday. We had just covered Oxy yesterday, I believe. And look at Oxy. We had planned it in advance yesterday. Together. Oxy generated a trade idea for $60 puts, and now it's on its way trying to get to that target. I had alerted this to the Wealth Squad for anybody who had seen it as well. If you had hopped in, you are at least up some of a bit. AutoStratic works. And what I want to do right now is for anyone who wants to come to the mic, anyone who's used AutoStratic, at least if anyone can't talk, someone just, K-Fran in chat just said, they can't talk, but I've used the regular one and made money on Tesla today. Turned on the radar for the first time today, and that was fire as well.
I'm trying to talk, but...
Oh, there you are. Choi, I can hear you now.
Yeah, hey, what's up, guys?
Hey!
It's good to be on, but yeah, I was just going to mention that on Nike because I think I brought it up earlier today when we were streaming, or when you were.
Yep.
And it hit, and it was, right when AutoStratic, I set an alert yesterday actually because I saw that shooter, so it had the actionable signal. And then when that alert went off, I waited to see, what was going to happen because it was right on orb for quite a while, and then it broke down real well after that.
And let's just see it in real time. So number one, if we put both the orb, the range rush reversal on, we have AutoStratic. Let's get rid of the outside candle just so we have some stuff here. So as you were saying, you charted it yesterday, saw the shooter on the day, as well as probably the pivot machine gun, and we triggered the entry. Did you enter as soon as it hit the trigger, or did you wait for orb to confirm?
I looked at the trigger because I got the alert, but
Correct.
then I waited to see, what it was going to do with orb at that point because it kind of sat around there for a little bit.
Oh,
And I
okay.
waited for it to break again.
I see. We were sitting around this orb. We didn't really fully break it. just
Yeah,
kind of
because I think
testing
on
it.
your video, it was either yesterday's or the day before, you were saying some people take it on the second time it breaks. So I kind of had that in my mind thinking, okay, it could go back down again on orb, which it did, I think.
Yes. And so eventually, still teetered around that orb for a really long time. And then eventually, finally came all the way down. After triggering the AutoStratic entry, we fell below lower ADR. And for anyone who's watched the range rush reversal video, we know this is a signal for a high momentum breakout to the downside. And then we finally broke orb and broke out of the range. So we have all confirmation and some time frame continuity enough for this to understand that this can fall.
Oh, and you know what? With that it broke through ADR pretty quick. So now that I think of it, I think I entered like right around there when it broke through, and then just watched it at orb. So that was a big help right there.
Okay, definitely. And all of these points could have been entries. Either they could be entries or they can all be confirmation as they are pointing out the same thing. The more they're in your favor, the higher the probability and the more that you are confident in your own trade. And what we're trying to boost is your confidence so that you don't hesitate, but you have something that you feel comfortable with and that you're not so scared about entering or that you're going to lose money. But also make sure you are risk managed no matter what you do. And we try
I think that's
to
what
help you
really
along
gave
that
me
way.
confidence though, because once it broke through ADR right away, like when I saw it bouncing on the orb, I already knew it was a higher probability that it could break and keep going down. So
Absolutely. So definitely this Nike was awesome. How much percentage did you get on your trade?
I think it was like 100%, but I'm holding it through till tomorrow actually.
Oh
So
wow. Yeah. We hit one target, we can definitely make a potential to at least get to the second
yeah,
target
because
and potentially
I saw it.
further.
I think it's sitting on like the weekly open right now. So that's kind of what I was watching for because that's turning the weekly into a shooter.
Right. Jawan asked, when do you stay for price target 2? That's part of also what I was, I guess, sort of saying that at least from what I didn't enter Nike, but what I could probably understand is that with a swing, that there is a very much a possibility we just get to that second price target. You know what I mean? If we get to an autostratic win is determined by if the stock moves at least 1% from the autostratic entry and or it gets to one of the target prices in 1 to 3 days. So this is already a win based on 2 of those criteria. The second price target is certainly just extra a cherry on top in a way, right? But still, with high probability and maybe enough time on your contract, we can potentially get here. And I would think it's very likely that based on the momentum from today's trading session, that we're going to get to price target 2.
Yeah, cool. And I just wanted to say thanks for all the time you put into this and giving us these tools. So I really appreciate it.
And thank you, most definitely, Choi. It's been a pleasure. I see you all the time in the stream. Honestly, very awesome. I get to hear your voice today as well. Like I definitely appreciate all of that. So one of the final benefits of AutoStratic Pro is that you get over 200 tickers being scanned at once. 5 times the amount of the standard edition. On this, you're able to segment your scan criteria. You can do the default, which is the original AutoStratic standard scans. You can go through sectors, but we're going to focus on crypto and Forex pairs today. So I click on crypto, and let me do this. Look at what happens here. So if you see here on this candle, or this box in the bottom right, we have so many triggers, so many stocks that triggered AutoStratic setups. Excuse me, when I said stocks, let me just rephrase. Tickers. These are all crypto tickers. Ethereum, Sol USD, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic, right? And then we can investigate and see what charts and what they look like. And let us make sure we are in here. We are selecting our crypto asset class so that we adjust the algorithm for so. So as we continue on up with Ethereum, we got a long entry. And then we got another trade idea the following day. A trade idea is only to be considered for entry if we trigger that level. On Ethereum, we hit both profit targets on Ethereum in this trading day on the smaller time frame, as you can see. And as that trade idea was generated, you could have taken an entry. And look, even the range rush reversal works on Ethereum as well. And look how much crypto just ripped. So much from back here. Like this is a ballistic move. But you can use the reference of AutoStratic to take these entries as well. I have something special for Forex. Let's switch this over to some Forex. So we're gonna go back into the radar. We have a bunch of trade ideas for the following day for crypto. We won't cover those right now, but we want to show that this does work for this because we see how many crypto tickers triggered and also hit their targets. On here, we have a couple of tickers that generate trading ideas for the next session for the Forex pairs. As we clicked on the Forex scan criteria, we're going to make sure we're switched over to Forex. And we will go to some ticker here that was showed as having triggered. So I clicked over to EUR USD. So in this case, let's see what happened here. Seems like there was a trade idea generated for longs on the Euro USD currency pair. Looks like it triggered the long, it hit the target, but it ended up reversing back down. In that case, that could have either been a scalp or just if you held too long, that may have ended in a loss. And so AutoStratic, sometimes the wins aren't fully huge, but that's okay. Let's check another one, USD CNY. And so this one maybe is had a bit more of a success or a longer position here. So let's see where the idea was generated. So the US dollar versus the Chinese yuan. We had a short entry that was triggered. And then we ended up with a long entry. Since we didn't close below this, and you see how, and this is important, if you see if something triggers and it goes gray, AutoStratic is then saying that that trade idea is invalidated at the time being. You see, when we trigger things, it typically highlights a color. That's showing you that the trade idea is active, at least as AutoStratic is referencing it, the one that's suggested. But now it generated a 1 to the other side. And it seems likely after taking this previous low and bouncing. We have a long entry for this Forex currency pair. We have our targets at 729 and 730. On today's trading day, for Thursday, we hit the first target, just like the others. But in this case, it seems like we're a bit stronger. And what I can probably say, I am not a Forex trader myself, But we're likely looking to move to that second price target that was labeled after the trade idea was generated. Okay. I'm going to speak very quickly just to give some stuff to look forward to in the future. One thing that you may not be aware of, you may or may not be aware of on TradingView, is that you can connect a broker to TradingView. Lots of people use M5. They use some of these like Gemini, Forex.com. TradingView even has paper trading, if you weren't aware, for futures and more. And you can trade futures on here as well. Any futures. And we went over the demonstration of futures yesterday. And just for the sake of time, we're just going to save it for now and then maybe just get more examples for the final session tomorrow. But you can connect your broker here. And you can trade Forex and crypto directly on the chart. Right? You can trade Forex and crypto directly on the chart, which is really cool, actually, for TradingView to be able to do. You cannot currently trade options on the chart yet. So let me put this in your head. Where further later down the line, when we get this capability, when we are able to, with our software, turn it into an automated trading strategy within TradingView software. And then for at least the capability of the time being, you can use AutoStratic to automate your trades in Forex and in crypto. That is the future that we're trying to attain and get towards with this tool. Right now, of course, it's just a charting tool. It's a reference guide. It's a very reliable one that generates high probability setups for us. Well, what comes of the one day when we get to the future and understand what is truly possible with a software like this? Everybody, I took a lot of your time, and I treat your time as a privilege, and I don't want to ever take more, as engaging or however much this session was. I'm very thankful that you tuned in and that you were able to check out how to really and truly unlock the fullness of your trading ability and edge, and how, as I basically walked through some lessons that were related to AutoStratic, but they're lessons that I want you to take with yourself that you don't even, that it's just something internal that you keep in you. That's not just the robot. That's not just the AI. That's you using your human self to understand and brain. And now you just took that knowledge to empower yourself. So it is only with the privilege of your time that I want to pay it back with having a tool that just lessens your worries, gets straight to the point, and gives you more confidence to be the best that you can be.